Good evening. Thank you for joining us on Straight Talk. With us tonight is none other than Allan Zeman, the father of Fong. Allan came to Hong Kong when he was 19. He has made Hong Kong his home ever since, and 15 years ago, he gave up his Canadian citizenship and got a Chinese passport. He was on Tatler's Asia Most Influential list for Hong Kong in 2021 and 2022. He has been a voice for Hong Kong to the international community and vice versa. So we have invited Dr. Zeman to tell us how happy he thinks Hong Kong people are at the moment. Welcome, Allan.
Welcome, Eugene. Good to be here.
Thank you for coming back.
My
and
pleasure.
Allan, as you know, in the last few years, Hong Kong has been through some challenges. We had the social unrest, then we have the COVID. But now we have started a new era with the improved electoral system and also patriots administrating Hong Kong.
Correct.
The new administration has been in for 1 year, and our chief executive, Mr. John Lee, was here last week, and he said to us that since we have resumed normalcy, Hong Kong people have been happier, more confident, and more united. So you yourself, as a prominent business figure in Hong Kong, what are your observations, and do you agree?
Well, the chief executive is not wrong when he says many people are more happy than they were before. You know, COVID was a very difficult time for Hong Kong, for the world, basically. And, you know, people forget it's only 6 months since we have been out of COVID, basically. And you know, but we're going about it as if COVID never happened now. Right. I saw an interesting report the other day which showed that Hong Kong people are the most unhappy in the last 3 years than they've ever been. And the numbers they show was Hong Kong people, it goes to 6.57 out of 10 percent. And so that's shows, you know, and it's between the age of 19 to 24. The elderly over 65 seem to be happier. Right. Because many are retired and whatnot. But I think that it's taking a while, you know, because many people, remember, the last 3 years couldn't go to school. Everything was through Zoom. Children couldn't play with friends. It was, you know, it was very, very difficult. And so it takes a while for people to start to get happier again. But now, slowly, things are coming back again. The biggest problem we have in Hong Kong, obviously, is the housing. You have 200,000 people still living in subdivided flats. And unless we come up with something that really fixes that problem quicker, no matter what government says or anybody else, you won't have happy people. Right. And so my idea is really to come up with some innovative way. And now China has built new buildings quickly using MIC, modular integrated construction, which you build the pillars are done out in factories and they're delivered back to Hong Kong and put together like a Lego set. So if we could find a way to be proactive rather than follow the rules that have been, for 75 years, the building rules and planning rules have not changed from the old days. And I think that we need to be proactive now. We're living in a digital society now, new world. Let's give it 2 years, and we have land. We have plenty of land.
Right. Actually, the chief executive, when he was here last week, he also said that the waiting time for public housing was from 6 years down to 5.3.
I know.
So things are slowly improving. And also the government has launched the Hello Hong Kong campaign. Do you think that has also helped some of the people being happier? Because one of the things that John Lee said was the tourism is very important. Yes. We are now like only 40% of the pre-COVID. Do you think that helped people to be happy as well?
Obviously, tourism has always helped here, you know, especially for shops, shopping, restaurants, you know, everything else. We've been slow to really get tourists coming back again. Other places like Singapore, 70%, Macau, of which I'm chairman of WIN, also is about 70%. Hong Kong is about 40% right now. It's getting better, but it's a lot slower. And that's something that really, you know, when business is good, if people are making money and people are spending, then of course everybody's happy or people are happier. But it's a process. It's going to take a little time because the problem, many mainlanders really were not happy with a lot of things that came out of Hong Kong, you know, the airline incident on Cathay Pacific, you know, and other things. And so it's a process. Listen, there's 1.4 billion people across the border. Even if 2 or 3% come back, it's a lot of people. So I think it's a process now after COVID, because a lot of people in China are still not traveling that much because they also had a difficult time.
Right, Allan, I'm sure the viewers will agree with you that housing definitely an issue that we'll talk about later in the show. But there's another thing that we must not have forgotten, that in the last few years, there has been a lot of political changes.
Correct.
As I said, now it's a new chapter. Things are getting better now. But do you think people are getting used to that yet? And how shall we get into the new system, adapted?
I think that basically things are getting a lot better. Listen, I've been an advisor for every chief executive since '97, since the handover. I was thinking about it the other day. I've really served every chief executive. Honestly, this administration, John Lee, is the best so far. He's only been there for a year right now, but he's proactive. We're doing things. I have a lot of confidence in him. I have a lot of confidence that Hong Kong will get better and better under his rule. Yes, there's a change of system. Of course, we're now we're part of China. It's one country, two systems, but it's one country, two systems. We still have our own system. We're a very, very important part of China. And we must not forget that, sure, it's one country first, but two systems is important to China because we're the window to the world for China and the window from the world to China. And that's Xi Jinping came here last July 1st on 25th anniversary. I was there to tell the world that Hong Kong will remain and that system will remain. It's been tried and tested, difficult sometimes, come through. It's a good system. Past 2047, he believes that it'll continue. And so that's Hong Kong's strength. China does not. They're 1.4 billion people. We're only 7.3 million people right now. They don't need another 7.3 million people as a Chinese city. We have a common law system. They have civil law, independent judiciary. So we have things that the West or the rest of the world really trusts.
Yes. Allan, I mean, I think you have summed it very well. I mean, the last few decades, I mean, you have seen through the actual development. And Hong Kong is always known for a fast-paced lifestyle and highly competitive. But Hong Kong people seem to thrive on that. And there are a lot of success stories, including your own business as well. But in the last few months, or even just over the weekend, when I was talking with some friends, it's interesting. There seems to be a sense of frustration among the community, not only just the so-called the 18 to 24, and they always say Hong Kong has changed. So what are your make of this, and why is this happening in Hong Kong?
Well, I think Hong Kong is in a transition period. Again, I say it's only 6 months since COVID left us, and you know, we've lost around 200,000 people during COVID. Moved out of Hong Kong. A lot of businesses moved to Singapore and other people left. A lot of people are now coming back again. I've just been at some of the Consul General's functions, you know, for different national days, and so many were saying that we're now getting so many people applying for visas to move back again. And that's really heartening for me because you can see it. In general, though, you know, in the office sector, it's still quite quiet, you know, because there's a lot of space. And so, but that, I think, will start to fill up soon. And we have more and more mainlanders coming to Hong Kong, to move to Hong Kong. You know, we're trying to attract talent, you know, the talent scheme. Right now, there's, I think they've approved 49,000, you know, and mostly from the mainland. So the international community is still slowly starting to understand. The problem is our name, after the last 5 years, before this administration, our name really got trashed, you know, in the world. I mean, I get calls all the time from people, what are you still doing in Hong Kong? It's not safe. It's because there's a Cold War between the West, between the U.S. and China, and Hong Kong is collateral damage.
Yeah, since you are here, I mean, before the break, I want to ask you a very good question from the viewers. They asked me to ask you, because when we go out for dinners nowadays at night time, a lot of the restaurants aren't full. But the FS has said that our economy has done better with 2.7% growth, and
Yes.
Mr. Johnny said we're expecting between 3.5 to 5.5, which is very encouraging.
Good GDP.
And the consumption voucher is coming up soon.
Yes.
So, I mean, how are all the restaurants going, say, Lan Kwai Fong?
If I say, I know I've heard a lot of districts, a lot of restaurants in certain districts are slower, our business is not that good. I can honestly tell you in Lan Kwai Fong, we've had record numbers.
Right.
I'm afraid to tell people that because, and again, thank God for I said I love the mainland customers. You come to Lan Kwai Fong every day, you see in front of the street sign taking pictures, it's showing that they're in Lan Kwai Fong and sending it back on Weibo or other social media to China, and then going out to spend money, and some of them spend big money compared to some locals.
Right.
So I say I love the mainland customers.
Right, okay, Alan, let's take a break now, and we will be right back. Thank you for staying with us. The chairman of Lan Kwai Fong, Dr. Allan Zeman, is with us this evening, and we have been getting his gauge on the level of happiness amongst Hong Kong people currently. So, Alan, in the first part of the show, you told us that things are getting better at Lan Kwai Fong, the visitors are coming back, and you have also encouraged us to be more patient because it's only like 6 months since we have the COVID sort of the mask lift off and part return to normalcy. But one thing that I haven't really talked about this in Straight Talk is the actual people leaving Hong Kong.
Yes.
I mean, if you look at some official figures, it's that between mid-2021 and mid-2022, Hong Kong population have fell by 1.6% from 7.1 million to 7.29, and now it's fallen further to 7.26.
Correct.
And it has reported that over 100,000 people have left Hong Kong over 2021 and 2022. So, I mean, these people must be not very happy. And do you think this has settled down? And if you ask people around, there's definitely more people who have left than that number. What do you think? Honestly,
Eugene, a lot of people are now coming back. You know, many people left because they took their kids out of school during COVID. You know, the schools were closed. They didn't see a future for their kids. They're worried about Hong Kong. Hong Kong was changing. All the things at that time, the administration, some of the decisions that the administration was taking were really quite draconian for some people. And so compared to what they had in the West, and so they just moved their families out of here, and it really was hurting me, actually. I used to argue with the last administration all the time, but whatever, we're now in a new era with new people, and we do see a lot of people moving back again because Hong Kong continues. We have that strength. We're as I say, we're the window to the world for China, and that is our strength. You know, we're only, as they say, 7.3 million people right now. You know, and so I'm not concerned because schools are back, and I've been here over 55 years. In 1997, it was the same thing. So many people were leaving. Fortune magazine had an article, The Death of Hong Kong.
Yeah, I remember that.
And that was a front page and all that. Well, we're here 26 years later, and I can tell you, Hong Kong has not died. It only gets stronger and stronger. And so, as China grows, Hong Kong grows along with it. No matter what they say in the foreign countries in the West and whatever, they all have to come back. You know, with all the BS that's been around, if you look at the trade figures last year between China and the U.S., China had 6.2% surplus in trade over all the years, you know, with the U.S. So politics, business people, one thing I learned a long time ago, business people don't like politics. They like to make money. They come where business grows. So Hong Kong will continue. You know, there's a lot of negativeness. We have to solve problems. As I said earlier, the biggest problem is the housing problem. But the more and more people move back, we have so many, every top banker is here, financial services are here. So many new things are happening going forward with this government. You know, Hong Kong will become a data center. It's just announced for the Greater Bay Area. The other thing that people don't realize, Eugene, is the GBA, the Greater Bay Area. You're talking about 11 cities, the key cities, Hong Kong, Macau, Shenzhen, and Guangzhou. as the key cities and 7 other support cities, all within 1.5-hour radius by high-speed rail. Hong Kong to Shenzhen is 14 minutes on the train. And so we really, 86 million people. In 2021, they had a GDP of 1.9 trillion US dollars, the 9th largest GDP in the world, larger than South Korea, larger than Italy, larger than many, many countries. That's where Hong Kong is part of. And with our one country, two systems, we will only get stronger and stronger. That's the future for youth. Youth are unhappy because they don't see a future at the moment for themselves.
Well, Allan, I mean, you have given us a good summary of what's happening, and we should all be very optimistic. But one area that we must not overlook is our tax revenue last year has dropped from $18.3 billion. It's a lot of money.
Correct.
And because we have 370,000 taxpayers fewer than before.
Correct.
So do you think the government should be worried about this?
No, because I really do see, if nobody was coming back to Hong Kong, then I'd be worried about it. But listen, let's talk in a year or two, and you'll start to see the return of figures. As I said, the world is just recovering. The world is a mess right now, and our trade figures are down. Everyone's trade figures are down, because throughput is not the same as before. So it's taking time. You have a war in Russia and Ukraine. The world is really a mess. And so we really need to get, and we will get back again. The strength is the ASEAN market, the Arabian. John Lee just went to Saudi Arabia, and Dubai and UAE, and these countries now are opening. In Saudi Arabia, the Minister of IT was just in Hong Kong, and they're now thinking of opening a trade office here to pass business through Hong Kong. So we're doing the right thing. China and Hong Kong are really doing the right thing, looking at new markets, developing new markets. They're the largest oil producer in the world.
Right. Allan, since you just mentioned that Hong Kong needs to get back on her feet, and hopefully things will be normal very soon, but unfortunately, some of the Western media are still portraying Hong Kong as not having freedom. Our rights are dangerous. Why are you going to Hong Kong like what they are said you are in Hong Kong? And also, especially recently, there was this song the song that went up to that we tried to ban, and also those 8 warrants that we issued. I mean, I think Hong Kong government is doing the right thing, but people are using that again to tarnish us again. So what can we do about it? I mean, we're doing the right thing, put things in justice.
All I know is in actual fact, I knew a lot of those 8 people, unfortunately. I warned them. And they went abroad right now, and they are causing a lot of negative news about Hong Kong to all those so-called Western countries that are using them as pawns to say how bad Hong Kong is, because that's not the real picture of Hong Kong. We have plenty of freedom here in Hong Kong. And so that's one thing that I actually support of what the government has done. And I know many of the leaders, but if you look at other countries that are criticizing, they're not better. I can pick out a lot of other things of the Western countries. And so this is really something that we need to have national security now. The national security law, which everyone criticized, really puts really brought stability back to Hong Kong.
Right, Allan. I mean, you mentioned a very strong statement earlier. Business people look at things where if there's money is made and they don't quite like the politics. So with all the negative publicity over the last few years, so kind of intended or unintended, have you seen any deals, say, from the international companies actually fall off because of that?
Not so many. I see many new companies coming here. Paul Chan just returned from Shanghai, and now talking to many startups coming that are thinking now of opening up in Hong Kong because the one country, two systems. And so there's going to be a whole new batch of things. Also, I was just reading this morning that for startups, Hong Kong is #2 in the world in startups.
Really?
In technology.
So encouraging.
And it's very encouraging. So I know there's a lot of negative news out there, but really and truly, if you look at what's happening behind the scenes, things are really moving in the right direction.
Well, Allan, you're sort of very reassuring to us, because actually the U.S. Consul General Gregory May said that the number of U.S. citizens actually have bounced back, reversing the trend. So
I was there.
Yeah, right. Recently, Hong Kong has also been in the news, especially in the sporting news, because the proposal of taking back part of the Fanning Golf Club.
Correct.
As because they want to build the public housing.
Yes.
I mean, there has been a lot of discussion in the community to say that public housing is more important.
Yeah.
But however, I mean, some people have asked me to ask you because they are quite concerned because the Middle East countries are the places that we want to do business with. And if we are going to not, working together for promoting Hong Kong with the, especially sporting events like the Aramco Team Series and the Live Series next year, are we saying that they're not welcome in Hong Kong?
Honestly, and I'm not a member of the golf course, I declare that. I've never been a member of the golf course. I don't play golf, basically. I'm too busy. But basically, I think it's wrong. I think that really and truly, this is something that started, who in their right mind would have chosen a 130-year-old heritage site that's a golf course to build public housing, which originally was going to be 32 hectares of land, is now down to 8.5 or 9 hectares of land, from 12,000 homes that they're going to be built. Now maybe they'll be able to do 5,000 or 6,000 homes. And so, of all, nowhere in the world, we'll be the laughing stock of the world if we go through with this. We got plenty of land to build 12,000 homes. Even Hung Ye Cook just gave some other land that they had near the golf course. I think it's wrong, and I speak out very, very strongly against it, because for us to show the world that we're back, you know, if you open up CNN or some of the other channels, Fox News, whatever, and all they have every time in sports, the first thing is golf, and what golf. You know, we get over 400 million viewers around the world watching during the Hong Kong Open, you know, and so these are things that are really important, and especially since sporting is a big, big thing. You know, in the West, you have heroes in sports, and Europe as well. Messi, Lionel Messi, you know, David Beckham. You know, and so people worship, and it makes people happy. Yes. And so Hong Kong itself, we're starting to get some swimmers and fencers and all that, and getting stars. But we need to develop, you know, and to have a 130-year-old golf course is really something that we can have pride in, you know. And again, I'm not a golfer, but I think it's wrong, and I will continue to fight. We can find new land to build that.
But Allan's last question.
Correct.
Some people said this is basically a class divide thing. Do you agree?
No, because I'm saying you're going to build 12,000. Right now, you can only build 5,000 or 6,000 homes. I'll find you land. I personally, if somebody wants, I'll personally find land to build 12,000 homes, not 5,000 or 6,000 homes, in the same area if they want. As well, there's a narrow road. I went out there to look at it. There's a narrow road, and there's the North Lantau Hospital now. If, God forbid, somebody's in an emergency and you'll be stuck in traffic with more houses there. It's the wrong place. And the only thing I can say is somebody must have had a vendetta against the golf course to choose that. Of all the land, no planner in the right mind would come up with something like that. Nowhere in the world. We'll be the laughing stock of the world. I really believe, and I'm pushing for public housing. I just talked about pushing for subdivided flats and all that to get rid of that. So I'm not trying to take it away. And open up the golf course 7 days a week to non-members, to anybody that wants to come. And so that's really something that everybody can play. So you're not dividing rich or poor at this point.
Right. Thank you, Allan, for sharing your views with us. We hope that his views and comments will be given some consideration for future decisions that will be made for the happiness of all Hong Kong people. Have a great evening and see you next week.